listening to BS the podcast with Benny Philhauer and Sal Zizzo. Enjoy.
Like, they'd bench me and I'd be like, no, I'd tell the coach, I'd be like, I think you did a good job. Like, I don't belong over here. So imagine this. I'm a young kid from, I think I was 16, 17. I'm in a suit, like my communion suit, like a black suit.
Welcome to BS the podcast. We're here, episode 15, and we are going to be talking to one of your really good friends, Sal, Mike Grella.
Yeah, I feel like Mike and I had pretty similar careers and pretty similar upbringings, you know, from Italian Americans. But he was one of my closest friends, roommates for all 3 years at Red Bulls, and it was a good time.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's going to have some really interesting stories. I think the podcast is going to be kind of free-flowing a little bit today. I'll let you take the reins a little bit because you know him so well, but I feel like Mike's just going to go into places that we didn't know he was going to go into. So we'll just let him talk. Listeners, beware. He's probably going to cuss a few times. Just be aware of that.
You could tell he's from Long Island, so
we might need some earmuffs for the children today. So just let's not waste any more time. Let's bring him on, and it's going to be some interesting stories. All right, we're here with Mike Grella. Thanks for coming on the show, dude. It's a pleasure.
Pumped to be here, man. I feel the same way.
So I know you've heard a couple of these episodes before, and you might know some, might not know some of the ways the interview goes, but we'll start with some starter questions, some quick hitters. And this week, Sal's going to take over because he knows you better than anyone on the podcast. And then we'll just have some questions about your career and what you're doing now. And at the end, Ike will grill you with 5 really difficult questions. If you can plead the fifth to one of them, if you go through all 5 questions without pleading the fifth, you can ask any one of us any question at the end of the interview. You got all that?
Yeah.
All right, Sal, take it away, man.
all right. Mikey, Grilladino, let's do this. All right. Favorite Italian deli meat? Prosciutto, salami, pepperoni, mortadella, or gabagool?
It's prosciutto. Prosciutto's the best.
Yeah.
Some of those other ones like pepperoni, you don't even put that in there, man. That's not genuine Italian. People don't eat pepperoni, bro.
Sorry, Genoa salami. My bad. All right.
No, prosciutto's the best, man. I just banged the sandwich down like 2 hours ago. Prosciutto sandwich with mozzarella on it.
That's the best, bro. All right. Favorite team you played for? Leeds United, the New York Red Bulls, Columbus Crew, or Scunthorpe, which just sounds awful.
No, the Red Bulls was my favorite. The Red Bulls was my favorite for sure. I won things there. I actually played there. I played well there, so that was my favorite for sure. The other teams were nightmares, man. But I mean, good places, good people. But like personally, was not good for me.
Dude, Mike, I was actually reading today about how many teams you played on in England.
Crazy.
And
man.
I lost count. Like, how many teams did you play on in England?
I didn't
Honestly,
know how them existed.
I played for 10 years. I played for like 11 teams. So it was like,
dude,
it was crazy, man.
It's crazy how England, you get loan deal after loan deal. You can be at a place for a month and then you're somewhere else.
Yeah, no, it's not. You know, you were at Derby County, right?
Yeah, I just remember. I mean, I was Derby County for a year. But, like, I remember guys being loaned out for a month, coming back, then loaned out to another team for a month, coming back. Yeah. It's crazy.
That happened to me a lot because at Leeds United, they had so much money. They're such a big club. They were scared to, like, give me a chance. So my whole career in England was, like, I'd go into training, and obviously I could play, and I was talented, and they'd love me. And everyone had the balls to play in training. And then as soon as the game started, they would just like play the ball down the channel and like it would just be like everyone kicking each other. Everyone was like scared to play. So then I was like useless because I didn't even know where to run. People were just smashing each other and I was like playing on mud fields. And I didn't know what to do. So like they'd bench me and I'd be like, no, I'd tell the coach, I'd be like, I think you did a good job. Like I don't belong over here.
This was mostly in League One or the Championship?
A little bit in both. I played like 50% in both, really.
Okay.
You know,
and I would say League One didn't fit your style, man.
No, man. I mean, my first professional game, this big French guy came up to me and they put me in like it was like the 70th minute. and we're hanging out at the top. I was playing as a striker. We're hanging out at the top of the top, sort of like the semicircle. It was a corner kick for them. This guy just came up to me. He's like, if you touch the ball today, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like thinking he's kidding around, right? So I go to put my arm around him, like, yo, take it easy, whatever, like giggling a little bit. And he just like punched me in the face. And like I was on the ground. He's like kicking me on the ground. It was like the crazy. This was like, we played at like some shit place away from home. It was like Walsall away from home or something.
Like 5-minute drive.
Dark, cold day. Like my nose was bleeding. He like stiff armed me in the face, like in the middle, no ball, nothing.
What is Con Air?
And I was just like, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh man.
What did I get myself into?
Oh man, I'm like, they're not paying me enough for this shit.
Wow.
All right.
The lower leagues in England, man.
Oh,
Man, it was
I hadn't
tough.
even heard of half the
not
teams
the
you played
best.
for.
It's got to be worse
man.
than like Benny what we played in Regionalliga. It's got to be worse.
That was some crazy
was
ass
bad,
games,
but-
too. It always
Yeah,
seemed like the field was too small. Like there was just no space for anything. It was just you barely had a time to take one touch. You know,
Guys
so,
so
like-
back from like their day jobs at like the butcher shop and just like put on a jersey and you play against.
Oh
them.
man,
And they were
nowhere
good.
more so than in England. But like, so I signed for Scunthorpe when I had done well in England at Bury. They were going to get relegated, and I had done well there. I played like 10 games, I scored 5 goals, and I saved them from relegation. Like we all had a good click going on in the team. And so Scunthorpe wanted to sign me. I didn't want to go back to England, but Scunthorpe wanted to sign me. They gave me good money. I went back there. And I don't know if this story is true, but there's like this little concrete wall around the field, and that was supposed to be the size of the field, that concrete wall. So when they built that, they fucked up and they had to like make the field within that. So it was like an indoor arena. And the coach was like, oh, we're going to play football. You're going to be the number 10. We're going to play, blah, blah, blah. I get there. The field's mad small. I'm like,
smaller
yo,
smaller than Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, probably the same size, if not smaller, full of mud. And he got like 4 or 5 players that could play like in the midfield and the attack. And then the back line couldn't play. So we would they'd pass it around the back for 10 minutes, pass it to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper just kick it out of play. And that's what we did that over and over again. And after like 10 games, we lost like all 10 of them. The coach got sacked, and it was like a disaster. But it was like no time to play, no space, man. Guys just running through the back. It was nuts, man. It was nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Better coach, Greg Berhalter or Jesse Marsh?
Oh, man. I'm close with both of them. So
You're stealing my 5th question, Sal.
I knew you were gonna ask that, but
that's a
I want
tough
to-
question. I mean, it's hard to say that it's hard to compete with Jesse Marsh right now. I think just even after today, like first American coach in Champions League history, and then doing what he did, that energy, scoring in the second minute, like, and then 6-2 in Europe. It's hard to compete with him. I would say the biggest contrast between them is that Jesse Marsh is more of like a motivational guy, a guy that you really like, you die to play for. He had me like going nuts before games. Like I was so motivated to play for him. Someone that I respected a lot. And Greg, obviously the same. I respect him so much, but he's more of a tactical, like he's like a deep thinker, and he thinks a lot about the tactics, and there's not much emotion involved. It's more like tactical thinking. So that's the biggest contrast. They're both great. And they're both probably the top 2 American coaches, I think.
Yeah.
It's crazy how well they're doing. No, I mean, obviously they won today 6-2 against Genk in Champions League, but they're winning by an average of 4 goals every game in the Austrian league.
I thought I saw the goal. It was like 34 goals and then 6 allowed. It was crazy.
Yeah, they're
in 7
plus
games.
28 through 7 games.
No, it's you can't make it up. And it's all because like he's the best at getting guys on the same page and motivating them like to work towards the same goal. I mean, he tactically obviously knows what he's doing, but like motivational wise, he's one of the best.
And
He's
that style of play fits him,
man.
right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
style
I
of
mean,
play, that aggressive, like all out press.
suits him. No, he's great. And then Greg is obviously just a tactician, like so tactical, and everything that he does, the trainings and the games and everything. It's just so much. There's so many intricacies to it. It's crazy.
All right. Next question. Dream job: coach of an MLS team, GM of an MLS team, owner of an MLS team, or golf pro at Bethpage Black in your hometown of Long Island?
What was the third one?
Owner.
I don't know. I think I think probably GM. I mean, coaching, I've got to like move around again and do all that. And I mean, that's a difficult question. I don't know right now. I mean, it's difficult for me to decide what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I don't know exactly what I would be best at. You know.
What do you do today then?
What did I do today?
Yeah.
Today I just chilled with my kids, man. Nightmare.
I think I just meant more like currently, like a general sense.
Like, what do I do on the day to day?
Yeah.
Literally.
You kind of mentioned it a little earlier before we got on about your Red Bull adventures that you're on.
Yeah. No, like I'll do some appearances for Red Bull. They throw me a bone here and there, and then I just play. Honestly, I spend a lot of family time. I play a lot of golf, drink a lot of whiskey. I'm just hanging out, man. I'm really just enjoying myself. It's weird because it's like I feel like I was in prison for 30 years and I just got out because I'm like I go speak to anybody about any sort of like opportunity or possibility, and they're like where you been for 10 years? And I'm like, I've been playing soccer, you know. And so it's like a weird dynamic when you first retire, I think, but you know, it's good. It's been like the best part of my life because I'm spending time with family and like doing the things I want to do. Everything's great. Everyone's healthy, so I can't complain. But it's a weird kind of time because it's like you're not productive. You know what I mean? And so for me, I'm like a really productive guy. I feel good. Like I love working. I love doing anything. Like right now, I'm a landlord. I have a bunch of units. I'll go put concrete during the day. I'll like put concrete. I'll cut trees down. Like I do anything. So for me, like working at the end of those days, I feel so accomplished and like I feel happy. And then when you're not productive and you wake up and don't do much, it's like it's a little bit depressing. So it's both. It's like the best and the worst, you know.
It's funny to me because I don't know if everybody will know exactly what you mean by this, but you said you get to spend a lot of time with your family, which is awesome. But then you also said you spent your entire day with your kids, which was a nightmare. So that to me sounds exactly right. And I don't know if a lot of people understand
Benny,
that.
he has three kids.
Yeah,
he has three kids just like us. So, dude, we know.
Like, I love spending time with my family, but if I'm supposed to stay the entire day with all three kids at home, that'll be the biggest nightmare of all.
Oh man, I'll tell you, like so if I go play golf and if I go play, I'm like out all day. I play 36 and like I'm out all day.
72.
I'm out all day.
9 hours of golf.
No, legit. One time I went at 6 a.m. I came back at 8 o'clock at night. I swear to God. And I'll be like, I need to get home. I want to see my kids. And I get home, and after like 30 minutes, I'm like, all right, I got to get the fuck out of here again. You know, it's like that kind of love. Like I can't wait to see him. And then as soon as I see him for 30 minutes, it's like enough, you know?
How old are your kids?
I got 4, 3, and 2.
Well, that's similar to, I mean,
What's
kind
that?
of similar to us.
We're all the crazy.
They're all babies, basically, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Putting city, stadium, franchise, everything into account, what team currently would you want to play for if you could pick any team?
I think the two obvious ones are LAFC and Atlanta. They're like a level above in just the way they do everything.
Yeah.
You know, the stadium, the media, the way they treat the players, the way they win things. I think those two teams are just a level above right now. No question. So I'd like to be part of those organizations. You know?
Yeah.
Can I chime in since Sal literally is stealing all my questions, give or take, wording them? So I'll just chime in. Where would you? I asked Dax McCarty this when he came on. What club would you retire if you got sent there today? Like, I'm not going.
I mean, pretty much every single one except for New York Red Bull right now.
Wait,
You know?
in LAFC in Atlanta?
No, like theoretically, I'd like to play for him, but I wouldn't play for anybody right now, man. I don't think there's enough money right now to get me back out there to get back in shape and go out and play again, man.
Okay, what about when you were healthy and playing?
When I was healthy and playing,
You're just like, no.
Like after your career year at Red Bulls, what was it? 2016. What if you could go anywhere after that? Or sorry, if they traded you to somewhere after that, where would you retire?
Like Houston, I definitely wouldn't go. No way. I played one game there. After 10 minutes, I was like, "This is fucking crazy. I don't want to be here anymore."
I think you said something similar. I said something similar about the game the other week.
I said, "No, this is not for me."
I've had to go to Houston twice this year, and my God, pray for me.
Oh man, Houston's crazy. I actually scored.
Can't
like 10
really.
minutes
You
into that game,
you literally.
and I
you
just
can't
walked
describe-
around today.
You can't describe the feeling you feel like the first 15 minutes of a game in Houston in the heat. Like you can't really describe that to anyone that hasn't
Describe
played.
it.
Well,
Pressing Jesse Marsh style.
Yeah. So so we were just there a few weeks ago, and we lost. And I'm talking to some guys. I'm like, guys, it's a positive that we just didn't die out there. Like half perspective. And then sure enough, someone's like, I'm saying this to a guy, and someone's like, "Excuse me, coming through." It's a guy getting wheelchaired. I'm like, okay, like move out of the way. But then I look harder. He was one of the photographers wearing his full penny, with this camera around his neck. I'm thinking to myself, this guy passed out from taking photos. We're out there running 90 minutes. Like this place is hell. Like
You
people
didn't
are
hydrate.
literally-
You didn't hydrate properly.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
just saying
sure.
that if he can pass out, like
Oh yeah.
anyone can pass out.
I swear, like in 10 years' time, they're going to be like, it's going to be banned to play at that in those
I think we
locations
should
at
start a
certain times.
petition.
You know.
We should start a petition that Houston and Dallas have to have domes if they want to play in the MLS.
No, seriously, Houston's one of them. I think the other one's probably New England was not a great place. I think in that stadium was always just empty, and it was just it's just not a place you want to play on the turf and stuff like that. I can't really think of any other. What are some bad ones in the league?
That's it.
There's quite a few.
Yeah, I just want off the top of the dome.
What's your guys' worst one? Like,
Well, Dax was New England before Bruce. He tried to skirt out of it, but
There was quite a few. I mean, to be honest, I don't think Montreal would have been one of my top choices.
yeah.
Jesse was there.
Yeah. And then he was out of there pretty quick.
Maybe he liked it though.
isn't that crazy that he was there? What, he got fired or resigned? Whatever
I
happened?
think he got
and
fired
now
after a
he's-
year.
Yeah, and now
Yeah,
he's like,
I don't think he did well there.
He did
Yeah.
okay.
hard
You
to
have
think-
owners though that are kind
were
of
an
on top
expansion
of you
team.
like that. Yeah.
They were an expansion team when he took over, and I think he did okay. I don't think they made the playoffs, but I think
They
he was
were
there
okay.
for 2 years, right?
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
No,
was
one
it
year.
two? I think it was one.
He
Just
came
one
to
year?
Red Bulls right after that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to the actual interview. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, but why was it that you bounced around in so many teams in England? Like, what was the let's go back actually. So you started at Duke. You were there 4 years. From the start, was it important for you to get a 4-year degree, or did you go into it that way, or were you hoping to leave earlier, or what was your thought process going to college?
Yeah, so I think the thing that set me apart, even from a young age, is like I was really determined to play professional soccer. I knew that I was talented, and I was like working out before high school and all. I took it so serious, man. When I set out to play professional soccer, I set out to be the best player in the world, you know. So I took all that seriously. So when I went down to college, I had a full ride to a lot of different colleges. I chose Duke, and when I went down there, guys were fucking around. Guys were part of frats and stuff. And to me, I was like, what the fuck is this, you know? So I wanted to go and play professional soccer. And my parents are basically like, you're not going anywhere. You're staying there. You got a full ride. You're staying there. You can graduate. So I actually graduated in 3.5 years.
That's
and then
pretty.
I went over to England, you know?
That's pretty unique, I think. Your parents, your dad being such a soccer fan, for him to say no, stay there, finish your 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad's an Italian immigrant. I don't think he knows what the fuck's going on ever. I swear. He's a chef, man. He came here as a dishwasher. He became a chef by just watching the chefs. He's been a chef his whole life at the same place, this catering hall. It's a nice place, but he doesn't really know anything about he'll tell you he knows about everything, but he doesn't really know about soccer, professional soccer, college, anything. He doesn't even know where Duke is. When I played in England for 6 years. He came out there once. He doesn't know what's going on. So he was not. It was more my mom was like, look, you're gonna stay, you're gonna finish, you're gonna get your degree and blah blah blah. And so I did that, and I hated it. I wanted to leave because people were just joking around, partying, and I was serious as ever. I wanted to play professionally and make something of myself. And so I actually regret that a little bit now because I didn't enjoy my time there as much. I didn't go crazy partying and stuff like that. But really happy it turned out that way, man. Really happy that I finished and everything, because obviously now when it's over, it's helpful to have the degree and stuff like that.
Yeah, Mike, do you want to know where I got my man crush from you?
Where you got it or why you got it?
Dude,
Both.
this guy's still weirded out by you, Ike.
Good.
I'm sure.
I did my job.
Nah, man, it's mutual, man.
Well, it was because I'm from Durham, and so I would go to Duke games because they were free. And so I saw you play, and you were balling. You and New Yorker were probably the two best college players I've ever seen. And I was like, yo, this guy's unbelievable. And I like committed to go to Wake a year or two later or whatever it was. And I'm like, man, I'm playing God. Like, you were like the God of God. You were.
Bro, I was actually watching a video clip the other day, and I had some highlights going on. And you're in one of the highlights, bro. I'm running down the sideline. You remember the play? I'm running down the sideline, and you come to shoulder me, and I just fucking crumple you, bro.
Wait. No, couldn't have been me.
I swear, man. I'm going to send it to you.
Please do. Actually, yeah. Since you know, put this together because I don't have any remembrance of this.
On the sideline, man. And I knew who you were too, and I knew you were good. You were one of the best defenders in college. I knew you were really good. Wake Forest was one of the best teams, so I knew when I was playing against you, I knew like to be aware of you. The other guys I was not worried about, but we go down the sideline and I shoulder you and you just crumple, bro.
Wow. Well, okay, fair enough. Well, I want to see evidence, but yeah, then you go in the kill at Red Bull. You show up at the 10th division of England in MLS, and I'm like, oh, he's back. And you're like megging people, doing what you do, and I'm like, I've been on the jump since I was like 15. So that's where it comes from.
Mike, you had a unique style, bro. You really like. I mean, you're just a different player than most players that have grown up in America. Kind of misunderstood a little bit.
I actually wanted to ask him that question. Ike said he's like nutmegged all kinds of people. Obviously, everybody remembers Frank Lampard's.
Yeah.
What is, out of all the ones that you can remember, what is like the favorite move you've ever pulled on someone, whether it's a nutmeg or whatever else it was? We're going to look this up, by the way, and Nino's going to put it up.
Yeah, I think what was really cool was that one against Philadelphia. I get like the ball in the corner. I meg the guy in the corner, beat him, and then two guys closing on me, and I just kind of like invent a move. Like I don't know that move. I don't do that, but I kind of just invent a move I just know where the space is.
You did like a little stop and back heel.
Yeah, and then I got a shot. I set out someone, or I shot on goal or whatever. But to me, the best players are the ones that like do things efficiently. Like they do things when they need to do it in the space that requires that movement. You know what I mean? Not guys who just like do it for no reason. Yeah. So and Ike, I was gonna say, man, the feelings are mutual, man. The guys in this chat right now are like, you guys are guys that I respect as players, and there's not many of them, man. Like I'm a tough critic, man. But I respect the guys in this chat. Like I feel like we all are on the same wavelength with the way we see the game and stuff, and the way we you guys are all successful in the game. I think it's important to say, man. I'm a tough critic, and you guys are all like top guys. Yeah,
I appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, guys, I'm done. I'm done tonight. I got nothing left.
You got 5 hard questions.
Your childhood dream. I mean,
yeah. This is my idol right now, guys. Like I got.
You're like a year younger than me, right?
Give or take.
Oh man.
Oh gosh.
All right. So going back to your time in England, you bounced around to a bunch of teams. I mean, give me some stories that happened during that time. I think you had told me some in the past of some coaches kind of going off on you, not really understanding the type of player you were. I think there was a missed PK or something that happened.
Yeah, I think Benny can relate to this the most because he was in England. But like English guys in general just don't have like the soft side of the game. They don't have the creative side of the game. They're all about like hard tackling. Like if you go to England, they can ping a 40, 50, 60-yard pass better than anyone in the world. But like if you ask them to like create something out of nothing, no idea, So I would go into training sessions and like absolutely kill the training session and play well because everybody could play in the training session. But as soon as the game would start and a little bit of pressure, they just play the channel ball and it'd just be like first striker coming in, second big striker holding the ball up. They're crossing balls in. I played as a second striker, like a number 10 sort of guy. They're crossing balls in from the half field, and they want me to go and challenge guys like Ike and just smash it in and like break my nose on the play. And I was always like dropping off trying to get the ball and like bridge the, play in between the lines. and they were like playing between the lines, get in the fucking box and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, it was just crazy. So they didn't really understand me. So, what kept happening was like, I play in training, play really well. I play in some games, play really well. But then with all these long balls and all these random, sort of patterns of play, I was kind of useless, So one game, at one place, I went to Scunthorpe, and I didn't want to go back to England. I'm like, I'm not going back here no matter what. I hate the place. I loved it up in Leeds, but I hated the place. I hated the mentality of the people, like rah, rah, rah all the time. No sense in a lot of the things that they did. So, and I actually was unfortunate because I had a lot of old coaches. I had all the coaches I had were like 50, 60 years old. So they had this old school mentality of like, you just fucking put your head down, you kick people, you work hard, which I can respect. So I go to Scunthorpe. I sign this deal because the guy comes to New York and he's like, you're going to be our top player. Like, how much do you want to make? Like, we'll give you the number 10. We're going to play total football. It's going to be based around you. So I'm like, all right, I can't beat this. You know what I mean? So I got to sign this deal. So I signed a 2-year deal. I'm making good money. I'm there. And 5 games in, I told you, we tried to play. We were fucking terrible. We lost all the games. 5-6 games in, they sacked this guy. New guy comes in. His name is Brian Laws, Perfect name for the guy. Brian Laws. He's like a little bit of a legend in England. So his name is Brian Laws. He comes in. He sees me. He goes, Mike Grella, how you doing? I know who you are. You're not going to fucking play here. You can get lost. So it's like, I just signed a 2-year deal here. And this happened to me a lot. This is not the first time. So I was like used to this. I said, look, let me prove myself, whatever. Sits me, treats me terribly, And so then obviously I sort of start to toss it in a little bit too. But I actually started at that time. I started going to the gym a lot. I was like, I'm going to worry about myself. So I trained during the day, go to the gym. I became like, that was probably the fittest I was in my life. But I was sitting on the bench every day, not even making the bench. So I finally we're in a relegation battle, right? And I the point where I'd go to the stadium, my own home stadium, and I'd like warm up by the sideline, and my own home fans would be like, Grella, fuck you. And my own home stadiums, So I was like, whatever, I don't care at this point. I had a beard like this long. Like I was just like, I don't care. So he's like, look, I'm going to give you a chance. So he puts me in this game. We're in a relegation battle. 44th minute, long ball over the top. The defender comes. I make believe I'm going to shoot it. I sombrero him over his head. The guy touches it with his hand in the box. So everyone's going crazy, penalty. So everyone's like, oh, this guy's got to take it. I said, I have to take the penalty. Put the ball down. It was against David James. Remember the old English goalkeeper?
Yeah.
So at this time, he was like 42 years old, I think. He was old. Like he was like really old. Like you could see. So I put the ball down. And I go, now it's everyone, the coach is going, anybody but Grella, don't let Grella take it. My own coach. So I was like, fuck this guy, I'm taking this penalty. I put the penalty down. There was actually a designated penalty taker. I said, no, not today. I'm taking the penalty. I put the ball down. I go in this, relegation is like maybe 6 games left. We got to win this game. I go to dink the goalkeeper, and I didn't catch it right. David James was so old that he dove. But he was so old, he had no power in his legs that he just fell down. He tried to dive, but he just fell down. And the ball went in the middle, and he cleared it from the middle, So I go down on my knees. I put my hands on my head like that. They go down the other end and score off David James clearing. So I'm down like this still, and I hear like scream like the crowd, and I turn it around, and they score. And then right after they scored, the 2 whistles for halftime. The coach came in there. He goes, I'm going to punch you in the face. I want to kill you. So I'm like, come, like trying to. Craziness. And that was the low point of my career. That was a low point of my life. That was like when I was like, I got to get out of here. This place is not for me.
This is incredible.
Crazy. It was nuts.
Listen, he pleading the fifth. Let's be honest. He's just not going to, guys. So
yeah. So Mike, we had some good times at Red Bull. I mean, we won Supporter Shield. It was probably the highlights of both our careers, to be honest. Were you disappointed towards the end when you ran into a bunch of knee problems that really no one could figure out what kind of the issue was? Were you a little disappointed with how, obviously you're over it now, but at the time, were you disappointed with how Red Bull kind of treated the situation?
No, looking back, I think probably at first I was, because it was like I had this little niggle in my knee. And honestly, it didn't even feel like my knee. It felt like my quad. I had this little thing, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And, we tried a bunch of different things, and nothing would work. So I think at first I was not happy with the way they handled it and stuff. But looking back at it now, it ended up being this cartilage damage that's like right in the right spot, so that every time I get to this 45-degree angle, I kind of get this giving out, this like jolt of pain, So looking back at it now, it's like there's nothing they could do about it. It was just, this is like a permanent injury that I could actually still play, but I couldn't be myself anymore. I didn't have that explosiveness. I couldn't slow down. I couldn't jump off my left knee. So like I'd be in games thinking about where to pass it. I couldn't really take guys on like I could before. So looking back at it, it was just like a personal issue that I had, that unfortunately I had that cartilage damage in the wrong spot, and there was nothing they could ever do about it. In terms of like, a couple guys said they were like, you're a big part of the team and you're a big part of a lot of the success we've had here, and we'll take care of you. I think sort of translated to me as they would take my option. So I did really well for them, and we obviously, it was like a family club and all that, and it really was. They did take care of us, and we took care of them. We did well. We did our jobs, but I think I was disappointed when they came in and offered me like the minimum, and we're like, yo, look, you'll have health insurance, and it was like, damn, like I worked so hard to get to this number, which still I think I was severely underpaid. And then it was just all gone, with this little niggle in my cartilage or whatever. So that was disappointing to me. Also, looking back on that from Jesse and all those guys, it's business. I understand it. I would do the same thing. I was not myself anymore. So that's just the way the game is. That's professional sports. So personally, I love all those guys. I don't hold anything against them, and I totally understand it. If I was in the situation on the flip side, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just tough because you came off of 2016, and then you were, at your probably peak of your career, and then going into 17, pretty much the playoffs of 16 actually is when you may have injured it, and then all of 17 you dealt with it, and then obviously when you were at Columbus you did, and ultimately it led to your retirement. Yeah.
15, I think probably the biggest disappointment was in 15, like being one of the better wingers in the league. And then not getting the same money that the wingers that were really good in the league were getting, because I think statistically, like I never really measured my career on stats, like on goals or assists. I think I was more like a guy who made the team play better in general. So even when I had the better stats in 15 and even in 16, I still did really well. I think like I still was severely like underrated, and then obviously getting injured was sucked, you know what I mean? And it was cool that Columbus, Greg Berhalter tried to take a chance on me because he liked the way I played and liked who I was as a person. So he tried to take a chance on me. And they, honestly, they got me to like a really high level again. I was pretty good, but I was taking Celebrex every day, and I was in pain pretty much every day for the first 15, 20 minutes. And some days I was great. I was myself. I had no pain. Some days it was terrible. Like barely could, you could barely like get off the training pitch. You barely make it. So it was difficult. And then this last year, Columbus didn't take my option, and a few teams came in, but it was like really low salary. And I was like, it's time to move on. I've got the 3 kids. I got my family. So it's, for me, I'm not selfish in the way I love the game. I want to play, but at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for my family and best for myself moving forward in life. You know what I mean? Soccer is something that like I love and I cherish, but I'm not the type of guy to like keep, like a lot of USL teams call me too. I don't want to like keep playing until I'm 36, and it's like delaying the inevitable. It's going to end sooner or later, Yeah.
So Mike, what was your biggest regret of your career?
My biggest regret was staying in England so long when I knew the style didn't suit me. because like I was making good money there, and then when anytime I wanted to come back to MLS or go to other countries, the money was like half. So I was like, and it was not even like a guaranteed thing. It was sort of like, oh, come and we'll like see you train for like a week or something. So for me, I was like, I'm making this money. England was like a great place to live also. So I was making good money. I was living really well. And if you do well there, you can like the sky's the limit. Right. So that to me was looking back at it was my biggest regret, because if I had come to MLS earlier or come to a different league that suited me better earlier, like I played in Denmark for 6 months. And
Viborg, right?
Viborg, yeah, man. It's like, so I didn't know, but when I went there, it was like, it ended up being like the furthest place from Copenhagen, which is like the only good place in Denmark. So I'm
trying to think of how far Viborg is from
the worst place.
How far Viborg is from Aarhus? I don't think it's that far.
It's not. No, I used to go to Aarhus for like the day. It was like an hour away or something like that.
Aarhus was like I liked Aarhus. I lived there.
Yeah, Aarhus.
I played there for 3 years, so yeah, I liked it.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. That was a good. Viborg was like a good place, but it was like nobody knew. Like nobody went to Viborg.
Right. Yeah, Copenhagen is different class. I mean, it's really nice. So
yeah, and then we used to drive down to Hamburg from there too, because that was like the next big city.
Played there too. So you just went to everywhere I played.
Hamburg.
You played in Hamburg also?
That's where I started my career. I played there for 2 years. Then I went to Derby, played there for 1 year. And I can relate exactly to what you're saying in terms of you get paid really good money comparably, but it doesn't suit my style. And obviously Derby was the worst team in the Prem that year and of all time. So it really didn't suit. I didn't get that many chances, but I was forced out after a year. So
yeah, who did you play for at Derby?
I had 2 coaches. I had Billy Davies at first, and then Paul Jewell.
Paul Jewell. So when you had just left. I had just come there on trial, and so I was
Derby.
Like, yeah, to Derby, like literally a day after you left or whatever it was.
Really?
I had come there, and they were like, "Oh, we just had an American guy here. He's a great dude, whatever." And I trialed under Paul Jewell, and I like played fantastic. And at the end of it, he was like, I think he got caught like in a porno or something after that.
Yeah, he did.
Some crazy.
He got caught with like some weird. Yeah, exactly. I forget exactly what it was, but yeah.
I played at Leeds United, and the coach I played fantastic. I was great. Loved the guys, all that and stuff. And all those guys went on to play in the Prem, and I was in training. I was just as good, if not better. And the coach Simon Grayson, the coach was like, he was like messing around with the secretary or whatever. He ended up leaving his wife, and he's with the secretary. So like all this crazy shit, man, that makes me look back and think like maybe it was not me, man. Maybe
no. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens. And when you were telling us about how the way you played, whether it was Leeds or wherever you were, it just brings me back to some of the craziest stuff I've ever witnessed on a soccer field. And I mean, you were talking about just booting the ball, holding it up, and there's some guys that couldn't even. Dude, Robbie Savage made a career from trying hard. That's it. He just tried hard. He ran all over the place. He would make slide tackles where you don't need to, like outside the field already, and the fans would just go, "Oh!" Like love this guy because he just run around like crazy and make people excited about trying hard. But he wasn't a great player.
No, it used to turn me off like crazy. Like they're just the mentality of like a slide tackle to them was like better than scoring. I don't know. For me, defending is about retaining the ball, like getting the ball and retaining the ball from the other team. Defending is not for me about like going into a 50-50 challenge where you don't know where the ball is going to fucking end up anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? And also, or winning the ball and just kicking it up the field and now you're defending again. Like to me, the best defenders like somehow retain the ball and then pass it out or like shield it off and are clever, like not guys who are just like trying hard, I think you need one guy that tries hard on your team all the time. That's like just like a dog, like he just runs around. But other than that, I don't think you need too many players like that. Like a guy like Savage. I mean, not Savage personally, because I haven't even watched Savage a lot.
He was a funny dude. He was a funny dude. Well known.
But he was making a lot of money at Derby, man.
He was making a lot of money.
What do you always ask you, Benny?
What's that? Oh yeah, he would always come up and ask everybody, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, Benny, do you think I've overachieved or underachieved in my career?" I'm like, Robbie, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Are you drunk? And he's like, "No, I've definitely overachieved. Like I have no talent and I've made so much money." Like, touche, man. You are smart.
But he was a funny ass guy. So when I went to Derby, I don't even know how old I was. I was young, man. And the agent who brought me over there was like, this is a good story. The agent who brought me over there was like, bro, you need to show up to this trial, like ready to go. So I'm like, all right. Like, he's like, you need to wear a suit. So imagine this. I'm a young kid from, I think I was 16, 17. I'm in a suit, like my communion suit, like a black suit. And I show up to the changing room with a suit on, and Robbie Savage is there, like all these dudes. There was a couple other big dudes there too, like that guy Davis, that center back or whatever. Claude Davis. There was a couple like well-known guys there or whatever.
Kenny
So
Miller.
I get there. Yeah. Kenny Miller was there too. I mean, at the time, I didn't know who any of these guys were. I didn't care. You know, anytime I went anywhere, I didn't know who anybody was. I learned them when I got there. You know? So I go there, and the first second I get there, I didn't know who Robbie Savage was. Robbie Savage was like, "Excuse me, waiter." Excuse me, waiter. and I'm like, I don't even know he's talking to me. So I'm just like doing my shit, getting changed. He's like, "Wait, excuse me." So I finally turn around, and everyone's just in their pants. Oh, and there was this kid named they used to call him Dicko. Was his nickname. It was like short for his last name. I don't even remember. Dickinson was probably his last name. I hope he doesn't. Liam, you know him?
Yeah, I mean, I was there a day before you said, right? So I know all these guys.
I'll tell you, man. I like the guy. If he hears this, so what, man? He was fucking, in my opinion, he was honking, man. He was honking. Like,
I'm assuming that means bad.
As bad as you could be. His feet were like that.
Facing outward.
Robbie Savage would come in and walk like that and be like, "Look, I had Liam's boots on all day." So it was fucking. He was fucking.
They've got good banter.
Oh, they got great banter compared to like the American changing room. Their banter is probably a little bit better. Yeah. But man, both were fantastic. Like people are like, "Oh, what would you change?" I wouldn't change anything. I met so many good people. Like I had such a good time in both, all places that I was at. It was great.
All right, Ike, to you, man. Let's see this.
Good luck, dude.
Well, the first question I was going to ask him, you're now in the interrogation. You know the rules. It won't apply to you. You've got no filter, so it really doesn't matter. The first question I was going to ask was a fan question. I guess it wasn't about who you play with in your entire career, but it says, this fan asks, who was the pro that you saw in MLS with the most appalling technique or first touch?
Oh man, the worst first touch in the MLS,
or just technique?
Technique. Oh man.
Was my boy Darren Moore still at
MLS?
County?
MLS, he said. If I'd said anyone, I guess the Dickinson guy would have been it, but
No, the worst technique, man. Honestly, at Red Bull we played with some really good players, and I didn't know too much about the other players, so it's difficult for me to say. It's difficult for me to say who played in the midfield. It's like, no, we had all good players, man. I mean,
yeah,
we can't think of anyone who was South. Who do you remember that was not great?
I mean, we on our team we had a pretty good team, but
it could be any team. Or who had
that's a thing. But I mean, Mike
He
didn't
doesn't
really
know
watch.
anybody until he
Yeah,
gets there.
really
bro.
Who had a game that was such a nightmare that you played against? You're like, wow, he plays professional soccer.
Oh
Oh
man.
man.
Or you can plead the fifth, but on complete accident. I think this is the first time ever that you just don't know.
Yeah, I'll
I
plead
think
the fifth
told
on this one.
the name-
I actually just don't know. I mean,
That's a first. All right.
I can't wait.
If
By the way,
someone pops up, I'll let you know. But
by the way, his dream job when the first question that you asked him was his dream job. He said being a GM in the league. He knows nobody. He knows no players.
no, I got to learn them still.
Or learn a player. Yeah. Well, I guess I had one story from Duke that was going to be my very last backup that I won't have to use now. So I'm glad.
Come on.
Well, we'll see. All right. So rank these former Red Bull teammates' coolness factor. We've had all three of these, or three of the four on the podcast.
Like as people?
Yep. Exactly. From first to worst, or most cool to least cool. Aaron Long, Dax McCarty, Sasha Kljestan, and Felipe Martins.
That's brutal, man. All right, so for me, Sasha's first because he was like one of my closer friends, and we played a lot of golf together. And I respect the way he plays, where he played, and everything he did. He's just genuinely a smart guy, funny guy. So he was the coolest. I'll go to last just so I don't forget the name. Like Aaron Long, I didn't play long enough with him, so he's an awesome player, awesome guy. But I didn't have like a real connection with him. He was younger than me and stuff like that. So I'll put him last just because I don't want Felipe to kill me, like show up at my house or like take a personal vendetta against me. So I'll put Felipe in third. Felipe is a cool dude. Felipe, when he was alone, one of the coolest guys you meet. He could speak 7 different languages. He's genuine. We spoke Italian a lot together. He was just like, he's a hard worker. He's actually a funny guy. It's just when he gets in front of a group, sometimes I think like he feels like he needs to prove himself to the group, and he doesn't, because he's a lot of the ways he is genuinely who he says he is and who he acts like he is. And when he gets in front of the group, I think he feels like he needs to prove that sort of like, that commanding role or whatever it is. So whatever, he's third, and then Dax second. I just love the way Dax competes. I like everything about Dax. I like his personality. I like the way he is off the field, the way he lives his life. He's a cool dude. And then, having him as captain in 2015 and 2016, right? He was there 16, and you see a guy that small out jumping guys who are like 6'2", 6'3". You got to respect it. The way he tackles, the way he like fights every game. So that's the order. I got Sasha, Dax, Felipe, and Aaron.
Okay.
Nice.
I love it. Thorough, man. I didn't have to ask why either. You did it.
Yeah, I love the reasonings, man. I enjoyed that. I learned things about Felipe that I didn't know.
That he was going to be fourth until even the Grella
vendetta took over. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Question 3: worst fans, Duke fans or Atlanta United fans?
I don't know too much about Atlanta United fans.
Actually, let me retract this. I wanted to retract that. Duke fans or UVA fans? And take a step back. I know you're a Dookie, so it's going to be maybe impartial for you.
Yeah, so UVA fans for sure. I mean, they just feel like it was just like it was like a weird dynamic. It was like guys that shouldn't be at a soccer game were there and just saying shit that didn't make any sense. And to me, I was just totally turned off by it. Like even the way they just like tried to heckle me, it didn't make any sense, man. And I just didn't even understand it. So definitely UVA fans.
For me, they're the worst in the ACC. Like Duke gets a hard time, and rightfully so, with whatever it be. But UVA for me takes the cake. But
yeah, UVA is not great. I don't even remember there being like, you're talking about Duke soccer fans.
All.
Oh, Duke! I think Duke fans are good, man. I think they're good. They're a little cheesy. I think they're a little cheesy, but like they're good. You know what I mean? They're good. They're like committed and they're proud of the place, and and they should be. It's a good place, but like UVA is like, I remember being heckled by them and like that doesn't even make sense. Like I think they just gave me a compliment.
All right. I guess I can't ask this. Which current or former MLS player could you not stand?
Former or current?
Or we'll just take someone that you know.
Yeah, it was current.
Do you know anybody?
Zlatan, heard of him maybe? Vela?
Yeah. Have you seen Tinnerholm play for New York City?
Gosh, Sal. No,
Stop your campaign, Sal.
We got to get Tinnerholm on this.
Yeah, oh, bro. You see this guy?
Why? What's wrong with him?
Sal hates
watch one game. Watch any game. Pick any game and watch it.
What, you don't
Oh, Mike.
So
dude,
Tinnerholm, I got into a thing with him last year.
Did you?
I played in Columbus.
There you go.
Yeah, I got a thing with him, and like we were losing the game in New York in the Yankee Stadium. I was playing for Columbus. And he's got the ball, and he's like running, jogging up the field with the ball, like trying to waste time. So I actually like make believe I'm going to get the ball, and I smack him in his face. So I got the clip of it. It's so good, man. So, but he was like a little bit of a bastard because like he's a good player, So
Yeah,
he
no,
like
he's
knew
a
how to
great
he like knew how to wind me up, and then he actually even scored in that game after like I talked a bunch of shit to him. And he actually tackled me real hard after that too. And I thought he like broke my leg for a second. So like I respect the guy, man, but he was like a little bit of a bastard. Like when losing, he's trying to waste time and stuff like that. But you got to respect it. He's
Got a little weasel to him.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know him that well, so.
This guy Sal's out to get this man.
Sal's campaigning.
Sal's just burning bridges, man.
Yo, Tinnerholm might be one of your biggest rivals for Defender of the Year this year, Ike.
No.
Yeah, I think it's Tinnerholm, Ike, or Miles Robinson. Miles Robinson, right? That's the player now.
Yeah. Miles is good. Good guy.
Is there anybody else like?
I always thought in 2015, if we had a guy like you, Ike, like we would be all right, I think at the back we were missing one piece. Like we play with a high line and we were not that fast at the back, so I think we got burnt a lot on counterattacks and stuff like that. And I think our weak point was probably at the back, but
more in 2016.
Who was it? Zubar,
More so
Bob, Pernell?
When Zubar was there, he was actually okay, but man, he was.
We had
bored.
I just couldn't remember.
Carl.
What about the guy that you
2016.
guys brought in? I think he was African, and you guys made fun of him, and he had a broken leg.
Oh, Gideon Ba?
Yes.
Oh my God!
He had a rough time at the Red Bulls.
That's one of the worst stories I've ever heard in my life. I've ever witnessed in my life.
Really
By the way,
sad.
we have one question left on my interrogation, but at this point, we're just gonna scrap this guy.
Go for it.
No,
Are we gonna hear the Gideon Boss story?
Yeah.
yeah, I'd rather hear
so-
that instead of asking the question. Whatever
Let,
he's gonna
let,
say.
let me tell it a little bit. So
Okay.
basically, it's he's training, okay, and there had been multiple occasions where like he kept like going down, and we're just like, dude, this guy's going down way too easy. Like what? Remember, Mike? We'd be like, dude, what's wrong with this guy? Like
Talking about
Kinda
this is
like-
after or before.
this was before.
Okay.
We were kind of like toughen up a little bit, like in our heads, but like no one ever said anything to him. Like whatever, probably would have been brushed by. And then I think he hurt his leg in a game, and then we were like, what the heck? Like he had to come out of the game for that or something. And then in training, it was like 3 days in, and he's like, oh yeah, it just doesn't feel right. But like nothing showed up on the MRI, and everyone's like, oh, he's probably fine. He goes in and he like collapses like 2 times at training.
No, you're telling
Yeah.
the wrong story,
Yes,
bro.
no, absolutely.
You're telling the wrong
at
story.
training. No, Mike, he collapsed at training. And he
Okay.
just like went down, and we were all like, "Oh my God! Like this guy's making a thing of it
No,
now."
but it initially started though because we played away at Columbus.
That's what I'm saying. It hurt.
He played the whole game.
I
Played the
know.
whole game.
I know.
Then the next day he showed up to the airport in crutches in a wheelchair.
I know.
So I said, what happened to this guy? He said I broke my leg in the game, but he played the game.
No, Mike. No, Mike.
That's
are
when I
you-
was like,
Okay,
I never
yeah.
seen anything like that.
Yeah, he was saying he broke his leg, but we were all like, "What? Like, how did you finish the game?" And then he tried training, collapsed a few times, and then we played Toronto at home, and he was playing center back, and he just like went down in the middle of the game. And I remember
Jogging
everybody was,
back from a goal kick, and he was
Yeah.
literally 2 yards away from me, and I
Jogging.
heard like pow.
yeah, hear pop, and we're like,
Yeah.
I didn't hear the pop, but Mike said he heard a pop, and what's sad is like no one really believed him on the field. Like our whole team was like, "Oh, here we go again." He
The
just
first one
collapsed.
by him.
But Mike was
Yeah.
like, "Nah, man, he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. Like he really did break his leg."
You
So
know,
the bone was what, like rotting before?
I don't know. I think he had a
That's what I
fracture and
heard.
it turned into something bigger.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know, but I don't even know. Did he end up playing after that again? I don't
No,
know.
he came back after a year or like the end of the season, and he just like wasn't the same. He just like he
Yeah.
gained a little weight and he just couldn't.
Yeah, he was a good
So-
player. I think all players are good. You just got to know how to use them and know like how to motivate them.
Except not that Dickinson guy.
Dicko.
Liam Donald Duck Dickinson.
I saw him there, and he came to Leeds too on loan, and we used to play the day before the game. We used to play like 5-a-side or I think 7-a-side, and then at the end of it, the losing team, everyone would have to vote the worst player on their team, and then you have to wear the penny that was like I'm a loser or whatever. I swear he won that shit for a month straight. He won it 4 weeks in a row. Was like the record. I've never seen it in my life.
All right, I think
Oh,
that's
man.
enough. Mike, bro, it was great having you, man.
Yeah, it
Nice
was a
talking
good
to you,
time, man.
catching up.
It was a pleasure talking to you guys and hanging out with you guys for an hour.
Yo, Mike, I know Sasha pretty well. Let's try and play some golf one of these days.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime you guys are up in New York, let me know. We'll get together, do whatever.
I feel like we get some good stories in 18 holes with you.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
I've been playing with some cool guys.
Mike and I versus you and Sasha would be actually a really good match. Really good match.
I got to start playing again. I was playing a lot last year. This year,
Not
never.
so much. Yeah.
What'd you get? Like, what do you shoot? Like, what do you shoot?
Last year I was shooting low 80s.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Cali lifestyle. All right, we'll let him go.
All right.
Boys.
Thanks so much, Michael Grella. Wow. I don't know what to say, Sal. I think we got more than we bargained for today.
Yeah, Grilladino didn't disappoint. Some great stories. I just love the way how he thinks about life and the way he talks about it. You can imagine I just had some great late night talks with him in the rooms on road trips and stuff. Great guy, one of my best friends.
Yeah, dude's super honest, tells it how it is, doesn't mind, delving into all the ups and downs in his career, and so it was a pleasure talking to him. I'm glad we got him on the show today, and I think people are going to be very happy to have listened to this one.
Yeah, I think they'll laugh a lot. Mike's a guy that if you don't know him off the field, I mean, he was real with us on this podcast, so I think you'll like the guy. He's down to earth, and he'll tell you like it is.
Yeah. As always, subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, yell or stream on TuneIn, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, rate and comment on Instagram and Twitter. Continue emailing us your thoughts on Benny Sal, the podcast, at Gmail. We almost didn't need those questions this time for pleading the fifth because he told everything right up front, but we appreciate you guys keep sending those in. And yeah, we'll continue looking for our gear as well. Anything that anybody wants in terms of t-shirts, hoodies, all that kind of stuff, it's still on the website, wherever it is. If you can't find it, then email Nino. Will respond to you on our email, Gmail. So yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much for showing up, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have some gear on for the next podcast. Maybe Nino can finally get us hooked up a little bit. And
no, we can't even get our own stuff for free, bro.
Can't afford it. This podcast is just not doing its job. But yeah, maybe we'll get a shirt or t-shirt on, and then you guys can check it out and see what you think.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for coming and listening in today.
All right, thanks, guys.
Bye.